Hey guys, welcome back. Today on The Untidy Artist, we're making bath bombs or bath fizzies. If you're not familiar with a bath bomb, they are made out of baking soda and citric acid, and then there are also fragrances and other lovely oils added to them. And the result is this amazingly luxurious bath time treat. You fill up your bathtub all the way, climb in, drop one of these bath bombs in, and it will fizz around and release the beautiful fragrance into the air, as well as all of the other lovely ingredients into the water. So it is the ultimate bath time experience. If you are a bath lover, this is for you. There are a lot of different recipes as well as techniques out there. I have tried a lot of them, and this recipe is by far my favorite for beginners. I also chose this because you can get most of the ingredients at your local grocery store or at a health food store. And I will also put online links below to help you out as well. So let's grab some supplies and get started. Now the first thing you're going to need is citric acid. This is what's going to make our bath bombs fizz. Now I found this one at my health food store and this one at my grocery store right next to the canning stuff. And then if you're going to be making a lot of bath bombs, you probably want to order it at a soap supply company, and I will put that link below. You'll need some baking soda, and I like to buy it in bulk from Costco. You'll need some cream of tartar. Penzeys is my favorite spice company, and no, I am not affiliated with them. They're just awesome. You'll need some cornstarch, and we'll be using some coconut oil in this, as well as some cocoa butter. Now this is just cocoa butter. I actually buy it in bulk, so I just pulled off the amount I needed, but you can find that at your health food store. You'll need some castor oil, and I buy this in bulk from a soap making supply store. Once again, you should be able to find it at a health food store. And the fragrance I'll be using for this is black raspberry vanilla, and this is from Nurture Soap, and it's amazing. To color our bath bombs, I'll be using these colors from Celestial Colors. They are skin safe. You could also use food coloring or leave your bath bombs without any color. You'll also need to use some 91% alcohol, don't worry, it evaporates out, and some water. And then I have some measuring tools here, just some basic cups and tablespoons and teaspoons. I have a couple of different whisks and a big bowl that gives me a lot of space to mix my bath bombs in. I also have a little strainer, and this is going to make sure that we don't have any big clumps of baking soda or any of the dry ingredients in our bath bombs. I found these molds on Amazon. There are a lot of different types of molds you can use. You can also use Christmas ornaments. Any type of silicone baking mold will also work, like these little mini muffin cups. I've got some bubble wrap that I will be putting on top of this nice fluffy towel, and this will help our bath bombs stay happy while they dry. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and grab my measuring cup, and into that I'm adding 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, and I've already got 1 tablespoon of my cocoa butter in the cup. So we're just putting all of our oils into one of the cups. Then I'm going to grab my castor oil, and we'll be adding 1.5 tablespoons of the castor oil. Then what we'll do is we will put these in the microwave on 30-second intervals until it's all melted down, and then we want it to cool off. So here are all of my oils, and I'm going to throw those in the microwave and then melt them and let them cool. In another container, I'm going to measure in 1/2 tablespoon of distilled water and 1/2 tablespoon of my rubbing alcohol. And don't worry, this will evaporate out. It just helps hold our bath bombs together. Then I'm going to put anywhere from 10 to 20 drops of my raspberry coloring from Celestial Colors into the cup. When I dropped it in, it looked like it was a super weird color, and I freaked out a little bit. But then I stirred it all together and everything turned out fine. So I also put 2 drops of the sky blue colorant into that. Then I'm going to set that aside. My oils are now all melted, so into my oils I'm adding 1 tablespoon of my black raspberry vanilla fragrance. Now you can also use essential oils. Just be careful, essential oils have different strengths, and you just want to always be cautious when you're using essential oils. Then I'm going to pour my oils with the fragrance oil into my colorant. And because we're mixing oil and water, you want to give that a really good whisk so that everything blends together and becomes nice and emulsified. And then we're going to set that aside and measure our dry ingredients. So I'm going to measure in my baking soda, and we will be using about 1.5 cups of baking soda. And I'm going to measure that into my strainer and then make sure I don't have any big clumps. And if I do, I'm going to try and break those through the strainer. If that doesn't work, I'm just going to pull those out. Then I'm going to add my cornstarch, and we will be using 3/4 a cup of cornstarch. So here's a 1/2 cup, and then I'm measuring in the rest, another 1/4 cup, which gives us 3/4 cup of cornstarch. And then we'll be using a 1.5 tablespoons of cream of tartar. And this is going to help our bath bombs float a little bit and be a little bit foamy. And measure that in. And then I'm going to grab my whisk and give this all a good stir. Now you'll notice I haven't measured in my citric acid. When I make bath bombs, I like to mix everything together except the citric acid, and I add that at the very end, because the second you add water to your citric acid, it starts to activate, and we don't want it to activate. We want all of the awesome fizziness to happen when we drop it in the bathtub and not when we're making them. So after I've got my dry ingredients all mixed together, I'm going to pour in my colorant that has my oils and my fragrance in it. And it actually works better if you pour this in a little bit more slowly than I did. I got a little bit impatient, so I just went ahead and added all of it. And then you're going to mix it in really well. And I worked between my spatula here and my whisk, because what we want to do is get the oils and the color and the fragrance all mixed in to our dry ingredients. So I'm just going to really work this together with my whisk, breaking apart the big clumps, stirring and stirring and stirring. This part does take a while. We want it mixed together really well. And then I'm going to switch to my spatula, and I'm really going to press the mixture against the inside of the bowl, helping to mix all of that together. We don't want big clumps of color in our bath bomb. And then I'm going to use my hands to just press the mixture together so everything's even, just really making sure it's mixed well. And now is the time that we're going to add our citric acid. The reason that I do it this way is citric acid, as soon as it hits any kind of liquid, it will start to fizz. And we don't want our citric acid to fizz while we're making the bath bombs. We want it to fizz when we drop it in our bathtub. So by adding the citric acid at the end, you get the most benefit from the fizzing of the citric acid. So I add 1/4 cup at a time. And you don't want to be too crazy when you're first adding the citric acid, because it can become airborne and it's not good to inhale that. So in the beginning, you can see after I sprinkle it in, I just gently stir it, and then I really work it in. So this is 3/4 cup of our citric acid, and we want this to kind of look like damp sand. The goal is to get it to hold together in your hand. When you squeeze it into a clump, you want it to basically hold its shape. If it doesn't, add a tiny bit more rubbing alcohol, stir it some more, and then try molding it in your hand together. You don't want to get too much of the liquid into your mixture. Then I'm going to grab my bubble wrap and my towel, set that aside, and I'm going to lightly grab a handful of my mixture. I'm not going to press it down really hard. I'm going to stir it so that my mixture is nice and loose in my bowl, and I'm just going to gently grab a handful and place it over my mold. Then I'm going to push it together firmly and really, really press it together so it stays. So you can see along the equator of my bath bomb there, I'm just going to run my finger and keep firmly pressing it together. Now, what I've learned in making bath bombs is the more firmly you press them together, the more likely they'll drop to the bottom of the bathtub, which isn't a bad thing. They'll still fizz like crazy and be amazing, but if you want your bath bombs to float, you can even take your hand and sprinkle the mixture into each side of the bath bomb. You do want them to be overflowing on each side, and you're going to press that together firmly. Once you feel like it's ready, take a spoon and gently tap the top of your bath bomb mold. The mold should lift gently off the top of your bath bomb. If it doesn't, give it another tap with your spoon and pull it off, and this is what it looks like. Ta-da! You have a beautiful bath bomb. And I gently put that on my bubble wrap, and I'm going to follow that same process with the rest of my mixture. So there I am. I'm scooping some into one side. You can see it's overflowing. Then I'm going to gently scoop some onto the other side, and I'm going to press them together. Once again, when I'm putting the mixture into each side of the mold, I'm not pushing it down. I'm grabbing it in almost kind of like a claw in a big clump and just gently placing it on top of the mold, pressing it together, I'm going to tap each side gently. If it's not loose enough when you gently start to pull it off, give it another little tap. And ta-da, another bath bomb. Now at the end, I had just a little bit of my mixture yet left, and I'm actually taking, this is a smaller size of bath bomb mold, and I'm just pressing what's left into that. You can also just leave it in a little bowl and throw it into your bathtub. It'll fizz around like crazy. But these are always the little bath bombs that I let my kids use or I use to try them out. And that's it, guys. You're all set. You have an amazing fizzy bath time treat for your bathtub. Now I do let these dry. I like them to dry for about a week or two before I use them, and you can see they fizz like crazy. They just make this amazing bath time experience. Now, if in the beginning your bath bombs aren't perfect, don't worry about it. This does take some practice. You can always take your mixture and just sprinkle it into the bathtub as well. So if for some reason your bath bombs don't work out, just put that mixture in a big bowl or a jar, and you can sprinkle a few tablespoons into the water. I also found that when you're starting out, if doing the round balls is a little bit harder, go ahead and use silicone baking molds. They work really well and seem to be a little bit easier if you're having a hard time with the bath bomb. If you guys have any comments or questions, please post those below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. That would be amazing. You can also check out more videos at untidyartist.com. I'm excited to announce that I've opened an Etsy shop where you can actually purchase bath bombs and handmade soap. So if you'd like, check that out. I'll put a link below. If you like this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. And as always, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.